All right, hi, Lindsay here. And if you have ordered one of our DIY craft kits, I'm going to go ahead and show you step one, which, if you're referring to the written instructions that come with your kit, step one is the base painting step. So there are a variety of base painting techniques that you can use, but this little video will show you the most basic one, and then we have following videos to show you some different techniques. So step one for pretty much any of our craft kits is just to paint your board. So I have a large board here. This is a 16 by 24 inch framed sign. Doesn't matter what your particular board shape is, so it doesn't matter if you have a round or a planter box. We're going to do the same basic step for base painting. So let me show you my finished one, excuse me. All right, over here. Here is a 16 by 24 that I have painted black. This is a finished base paint coat. So this is what we're going for. It's nice and smooth, a nice light coat. It is by no means perfect, which is okay. All of these projects are handmade, so it's okay if they're not perfect. They are perfectly imperfect, made by you. All right, so you've got your blank piece of wood. Now, you have some paint in your kit and also some paint brushes. You either have a regular chip paintbrush or you have a black foam brush. That just depends on, your type of brush depends on what kind of project you have, whether the wood is smooth or whether it's outdoor wood. So it doesn't matter which one you have. If you have one of these, you're going to use this. If you don't, we're using the foam brush. All right, so I'm going to use both in this video just to show you. All right, so you have a cup of paint. Usually the background color is going to be the paint that you have the most of. So I've got black here, and I'm going to start off using the foam brush just to show you how I use this foam brush. So I'm just dipping the brush into the paint, and for the foam brush, I want to use the side of the brush. That's where I'm getting the paint, okay? And then I'm just able to wipe it right onto the piece of wood. I'm literally wiping it, spreading that paint out really nice and thin and light, okay? I'm actually gonna go ahead and stick with the foam brush since I think this is less counterintuitive than just using the chip brush. Right, the chip brush is just a regular paintbrush. And here's the thing about the base coat. You want to remember that it doesn't have to be perfect and that you want it to be a nice light coat. So less is more in this situation. I'm gonna lay mine down and keep working on it while I chat with you. But less paint is more in this situation. So whatever you do, you don't want to glob it on, okay? You really want to spread it out. Thin coats dry faster, and they also make it easier for the stencil, which is step two. They make it easier for the stencil to adhere to the wood and not to the paint. If you do a big globby coat, your stencil sticks to your paint, not to the wood. So you really want to go with a nice light layer. Also, if you are the type of person who likes the distressed look, so if you want your piece to come out looking kind of worn and vintage, we can achieve that look later by sanding the background, by sanding your board. You can sand this base paint color to really bring out some of the real wood underneath and to give it sort of that layered look, that weathered, almost rustic, antiqued look, vintage vibe. If you know right now, if you're thinking, yeah, you know what, I really love that kind of look, that's the kind of piece I'm going for, then you definitely want to use a very light coat of paint because we achieve that look by sanding. And let me tell you right now, the more paint that you put on, the more you have to sand back off to get that look. So you really don't want to go heavy on the paint. And if you like that vintage look, you can even leave some places where you don't coat them fully and they kind of look like they were sanded already. If you can see this little patch right here. Now, like I said, my piece has a frame. If your piece doesn't have a frame, you don't have to worry about frame, right? If you have a sign like what I'm painting and you do have a frame, then you can put tape. Your kit should have come with some masking tape or painter's tape. You can tape the inside of the frame to prevent getting the paint on the frame. I'm not going all the way up to the frame right now for the purposes of this video. And actually, this sign is going to become one of my local places, my local brewery signs. It's kind of like a Subway art type of sign. And it's pretty rustic, and I usually don't paint to the edge because I kind of sand there and make it look a little roughed up on the edges. However, if you would like to paint to the edge, which most signs do have paint all the way up to the frame, you can just tape around the edge before you go into painting up against the frame. Right, so that will help you, prevent you from getting paint directly on the frame. Now, if you want to paint the frame, you certainly can. So if you wanted to make your whole frame black, you could do that too. All right, but I digress. I'm trying to just show our very basic base paint technique. This is the simplest technique right here. Painting it one color, not a mixed custom color, just a straight one color that comes in your kit. This is the easiest to apply and the easiest to touch up later. So after the stencil step, if you have any areas that need to be fixed up or touched up, having just one flat continuous coat for your base coat is going to be the easiest thing to touch up. All right, so it's a little more difficult to paint from this angle, but I just want to make sure that you can see in the camera that I'm using the side of this paintbrush, and I'm really just wiping the paint on there. Again, it is okay if it doesn't come out completely evenly. You want to let it dry before you make any real judgments about what that coat looks like. And again, I know I didn't paint all the way to the frame, but you certainly can for your sign. And this coat is just nice and light and thin. Yes, it's a little streaky. There's still some areas that are wet, but I'm gonna let this whole frame dry completely before I decide if I want a second coat. If you let it dry and you think that you want to go over it again, you can do that. But let the first coat dry completely, and then when you do that second coat, make sure it's another light coat where you really push the paint around. You do not want to have globby thick coats. That will make the stencil step, which is step 2, a little bit more difficult. So you want those coats to be light, lots of dry time in between. In most cases, one coat is plenty. I know it doesn't feel like it, but remember that this will be the background of your sign, so we're going to be putting a design or words on top of this. And again, if you want to sand it, if you like that distressed look, then really one coat is plenty, because you don't want to have to sand 2 coats of paint back off to see the real wood. All right, so here is my completed base paint. This is the simplest one color right out of the gate technique, and I'm just gonna let it dry now. It has to dry completely before I move on to any other steps. If you are interested in a more layered or difficult technique, such as color blocking or like the faux stain, or maybe like a layered look where you have one color on the bottom, one color on the top, then you can find more videos, and they will be step 1 color blocking, step 1 faux stain, or step 1 layered look, okay? So you can watch those if you need a more in-depth base paint tutorial. All right, happy crafting.